Get out. How dare you try to outshine my grandson at his own party? My mother-in-law's shrill voice cut through the cheerful chaos of children's laughter and party music. I stood frozen, holding my son Oliver's carefully wrapped present as confusion rippled through the crowd of guests. Nancy, this is Oliver's birthday party, I said carefully, trying to keep my voice steady. Marcus's party was last weekend. But Nancy was already in full meltdown mode, her face flushed with rage as she pointed an accusing finger at me. Don't play innocent with me, Emma. You deliberately planned this elaborate party to make Marcus's celebration look small. Those expensive decorations, that ridiculous cake, you're trying to show me up. I looked around at the modest decorations we put up in our backyard, simple blue balloons, a homemade, happy 5th birthday Oliver banner, and a cake I baked myself. Meanwhile, just last weekend, Nancy had thrown an extravagant circus-themed party for Marcus, complete with professional entertainers and a 3-tier cake from the city's most expensive bakery. Mom, stop it. My husband James stepped forward, his voice firm. This is Oliver's day. You're making a scene. Nancy's eyes narrowed. Of course, you take her side. She's turned you against me, against your own nephew. Well, I won't stand for it. She stormed over to the gift table and began grabbing presents, throwing them into a pile. These are probably all better than what Marcus got, aren't they? Trying to make him feel bad about his gifts. She was practically screaming now as horrified parents pulled their children close. Nancy, please, I begged, watching Oliver's lower lip start to tremble. The kids are getting scared. Good, she spat, knocking over a stack of party favor bags. Maybe now you'll understand how Marcus felt when you upstaged his special day. Everyone out, party's over. Parents began hurriedly gathering their children, throwing apologetic looks our way. My sister Lisa, who had been quietly taking photos throughout the party, caught my eye and gave a subtle nod. I didn't understand its significance then, but I would soon enough. As guests rushed to leave, Nancy continued her tirade, growing more dramatic with each passing moment. She grabbed Oliver's birthday cake, the one I'd spent hours decorating with his favorite superhero characters, and dumped it in the trash. Mom, James shouted, finally losing his patience. That's enough. No, it's not enough, she screeched. Look at all this. The bounce house, the face painting station, the party games. Last weekend, Marcus only had professional acrobats, a magician, and a petting zoo. You're clearly trying to outdo me. I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of her statement, which only enraged her further. She turned to the remaining guests, mostly family members who hadn't fled yet, and began spinning a tale about how I'd always been jealous of Marcus, how I constantly tried to compete with her parenting, how I was trying to drive a wedge between her and James. Through it all, Oliver clung to my leg, silent tears rolling down his cheeks. His special day was being destroyed right before his eyes, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. I want all evidence of this disaster deleted, Nancy demanded, pointing at various phones and cameras. No one posts any photos of this pathetic attempt to overshadow my grandson's perfect party. That's when Lisa stepped forward, her phone in hand. Actually, Nancy, I think you might want to see these photos first. There was something in her voice, a quiet confidence that made Nancy pause. What photos? Nancy snapped, but I noticed a flicker of uncertainty cross her face. The ones I've been taking all afternoon, Lisa replied calmly, including some very interesting shots from before the party started. Would you like to see them now, or should we wait for everyone else to gather round? Nancy's face went pale, then red, then pale again. You're bluffing, she said, but her voice had lost its edge. Lisa smiled, a smile that somehow managed to be both sweet and dangerous. Am I? Shall we find out? The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. What had Lisa captured with her camera? What had Nancy done that she didn't want anyone to see? As I held my crying son close, I realized this birthday party disaster was about to take an unexpected turn. We're leaving, Nancy announced abruptly, grabbing her purse. Marcus, honey, come along. We don't need to stay where we're not appreciated. She practically dragged her confused grandson toward the gate, pausing only to shoot one last venomous look over her shoulder. This isn't over, Emma. Not by a long shot. But as Lisa caught my eye again, still wearing that knowing smile, I had a feeling she was wrong. This wasn't over, but it wasn't going to end the way Nancy expected it to. Once everyone had left and Oliver was finally asleep, exhausted from crying, I sat with Lisa and James at our kitchen table. The remnants of the ruined party were still scattered across our backyard, deflated balloons, scattered presents, and the birthday cake sitting sadly in the trash. "Show us," James said quietly, his face tight with anger. "What did you catch on camera?" Lisa pulled out her phone and started scrolling through photos. "I noticed something odd when I arrived early to help set up," she explained. Nancy was already here, which seemed strange since she'd made such a big deal about being too busy to help. The first photo showed Nancy near the gift table, carefully opening presents and examining them. In the next shot, she was removing price tags from more expensive gifts and switching them with cheaper ones. She was tampering with the gifts. I gasped, feeling sick to my stomach. "That's not all," Lisa continued, swiping to the next series of photos. There was Nancy, methodically going through the party favor bags, removing items and replacing them with lesser alternatives. Another shot showed her deliberately damaging the bounce house's power cord. "I watched her sabotage nearly every aspect of the party," Lisa said grimly. She even poked holes in most of the balloons so they gradually deflate during the party. James put his head in his hands. "I can't believe this, my mother." But the most damning photos were yet to come. Lisa had captured Nancy pulling Marcus aside before the party, whispering in his ear. The series of photos showed her clearly instructing him to refuse to play with Oliver, to complain about the games, to make a fuss about the cake not being as good as his. She was setting this up from the start, I whispered, feeling a mixture of horror and vindication. She wanted Oliver's party to fail. "There's more," Lisa said, her voice hard. "Look at the timestamps on these photos compared to her social media posts from Marcus's party last week." She pulled up Nancy's Facebook page, showing us the elaborate circus-themed party she'd thrown for Marcus. But when we looked closely at the details, something didn't add up. The entertainment company she tagged, Lisa pointed out, it went out of business 2 months ago. The famous bakery she claimed made the cake, they've never heard of her order. Most of these photos are staged or edited. She lied about Marcus's party to make Oliver's look worse by comparison. I realized the pieces falling into place. She probably spent a fraction of what she claimed but made it look extravagant on social media. James stood up suddenly, pacing the kitchen. All these years, I thought I was being paranoid. The way she always seemed to pit the boys against each other, how Oliver's achievements were always somehow less impressive than Marcus's. "She's been playing this game since day one," Lisa confirmed. "I've suspected for a while, which is why I started documenting everything. Today was just the first time she got sloppy enough to get caught." I thought about Oliver upstairs, how heartbroken he'd been when his grandmother ruined his special day. How many other moments had she poisoned? How many times had she manipulated situations to make my son feel less than his cousin? "What do we do with this?" I asked, looking at the damning evidence on Lisa's phone. "First," Lisa said, "I've already backed up all these photos to the cloud. Nancy can't delete or deny them." "I want to confront her," James said firmly. "She needs to face what she's done." "We need to be smart about this," Lisa cautioned. "Nancy's proven she's manipulative. If we confront her privately, she'll find a way to spin it." "So what's our alternative?" I asked. Lisa's smile returned, that same knowing smile from earlier. "Well, she did make quite a scene today. Lots of witnesses, lots of other parents who probably have their own stories about Nancy's behavior. And she does love social media." I caught her meaning and felt a spark of satisfaction. "You think we should make this public?" "I think," Lisa said carefully, "that Nancy has spent years carefully crafting her image as the perfect grandmother. Maybe it's time everyone saw the real her." James nodded slowly. "She's always cared more about appearances than anything else. This would hit her where it hurts." "But first," I interjected, "we need to make this right for Oliver. He deserves a real birthday celebration." "Already on it," Lisa grinned, pulling out another set of photos. I took pictures of all the original gifts before Nancy tampered with them. I've got a list of everything she damaged or changed, and I happen to know that the parents from Oliver's class have started a group chat about throwing him a makeup party. For the first time since the disaster began, I felt hope rising in my chest. Nancy had tried to ruin my son's birthday, but she failed to account for one crucial detail. Unlike her, we had real friends and allies. people who cared about the truth more than appearances. Tomorrow, James said firmly, we start setting things right. Lisa nodded, gathering her evidence. Nancy wanted attention on social media. Well, she's about to get more than she bargained for. As we made plans late into the night, I couldn't help but think about how fitting it was that Nancy's own obsession with appearances would be her undoing. She'd spent so long trying to make everyone else look bad that she'd never considered how bad she might look when the truth came out. The next morning would bring a reckoning, and for once, Nancy wouldn't be able to manipulate her way out of it. The photos didn't lie, and soon, everyone would see exactly what kind of grandmother she really was. The fallout was swift and devastating. Lisa posted the photos in our community Facebook group first thing in the morning. A carefully selected collection that showed Nancy's deliberate sabotage without including any shots of the children. Within hours, the post had hundreds of shares and comments. I always knew something was off about how she treated Oliver, one mom wrote. Remember the school play when she kept pushing Marcus in front of him? This explains the soccer trophy incident, another parent added. When she accidentally broke Oliver's trophy but had Marcus's displayed prominently at her house. Nancy's carefully cultivated image as the doting grandmother crumbled as more people came forward with their own stories. Parents from previous parties, teachers from the boys' school, and even distant relatives began sharing instances of her manipulative behavior. She tried to defend herself, of course. Her first response was a long, rambling Facebook post claiming the photos were taken out of context, and that she was being persecuted for showing love to her grandson. But then Lisa released the video. I didn't just take photos, she told us that morning. I had my phone recording in my pocket when she was giving Marcus instructions before the party. The video was crystal clear. Nancy's voice could be heard instructing her 7-year-old grandson. Make sure everyone knows your party was better. And don't let Oliver have any fun, he needs to learn his place. When that video hit social media, Nancy's phone started ringing nonstop. First came the angry calls from family members. Then the parents from Marcus's class began withdrawing playdate invitations. Finally, her bridge club, her pride and joy, asked her to take a break from attending. How could you do this to children? Her sister demanded during a particularly heated phone call that was on speaker. They're both your grandsons. But the real change came from Marcus himself. During the makeup party we threw for Oliver the following weekend, a genuine celebration filled with love and authentic joy, Marcus pulled his cousin aside. I'm sorry, he said quietly. Grandma told me to be mean to you, but I don't want to be mean anymore. The boys hugged, and just like that, years of manufactured rivalry began to melt away. They were just kids, after all. The competition had always been Nancy's creation, not theirs. James finally confronted his mother directly, armed with the evidence of her years of manipulation. She tried her usual tactics: tears, guilt, accusations, but they didn't work anymore. Until you can acknowledge what you've done and get help, he told her firmly, you won't be seeing either of your grandsons. Nancy's response was predictable. She played the victim, claimed we were all conspiring against her, and threatened to tell everyone the real truth. But the real truth was already out there, documented in photos and videos she couldn't deny. 6 months later, our family looks different. Oliver and Marcus have regular playdates without their grandmother's toxic influence. They're discovering they actually like a lot of the same things, something Nancy had always tried to prevent. Nancy herself has retreated from social media and community events. Last we heard, she's seeing a therapist, not because she wants to change, but because she thinks it will help her image. Some people never really learn. The other day, I found Oliver looking at photos from both birthday parties, his disastrous first one and the joyful makeup celebration. You know what, Mom? He said thoughtfully. I like the second party better. Everyone was real happy, not fake happy. Out of the mouths of babes, as they say. My 5-year-old had seen through what many adults hadn't, the difference between authentic love and manipulative performance. Lisa keeps the original photos and videos safely stored away, just in case Nancy ever tries to rewrite history. But honestly, I don't think she'll need them. The truth has a way of coming out, and once it does, no amount of manipulation can put that genie back in the bottle. Sometimes I think about how differently things might have turned out if Nancy had just been able to love both her grandsons equally, without the need for competition or drama. But then I remember that this experience taught Oliver an important lesson early in life. that real love doesn't need to tear others down to build itself up. As for me, I learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply letting the truth speak for itself. Nancy's own actions did more damage to her reputation than anything we could have done. And that birthday cake she threw in the trash. Well, the new one at Oliver's makeup party was even better, because it was surrounded by people who genuinely wanted to celebrate him, not use him as a pawn in their games. Sometimes the best gifts come wrapped in unexpected packages. In our case, it came in the form of exposed lies and a chance to build something more authentic from the ashes of manufactured perfection.